Hello, I'm Erin Hilliard, interviewing Kendall Robinson that graduated class of 2013. So, Kendall, why do you think an HBCU is important?
HBCUs provide us a certain safe space. They provide us an opportunity to get second chances, or just provide you an opportunity to go someplace where you can go with people that look just like me and you, all types of black from around the country. There's a plethora of reasons why I think HBCUs are important, and one of the main ones for me and why I chose an HBCU. Honestly, was it provided me a second chance. It gave me an opportunity to be more than what was given to me at the time.
Okay. So, have your parents ever told you about racism when you were younger as a kid?
Yes, he told me about racism ever since I was almost in kindergarten. I've always heard you've got to do twice as much just to be half as good. It's especially with the academic environment I was around, going to mixed schools, um, all black, all white. It varied, but I definitely have had both experiences.
So, have you ever been in a situation where someone has been racist to you?
Yes. Uh,
How did you handle that?
Depends on what age I was and how mature I was. In high school, I got really mad, upset, and I tried to take out my anger through a more physical means. Opposed to when I got older, I just used my mind and I kind of just laughed through it and got used to the world. It happens so much, and I mean so much, because I went to an all white, high school for about 2 years, and I just played football, so I was just seen as a jock. And then in my last 2 years, I was at like an all black urban school, and then in elementary, I went through an all white Catholic school, so there was a lot of snide remarks. And even being grown now, there's just a lot of things that you hear in passing that you kind of just got to put your head down and go through it and just prove people wrong.
So, in situations and cases like Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, do you think that racism still exists to this day?
Definitely. Racism definitely still exists. Racism is not something where it's just a loud Southern old Jim Crow thing. You see it more quietly, more systematic. It's more of like that backroom conversation where people are just by themselves and they kind of look both ways before they say it. It's not something that is just particularly just super loud because people get crucified for it. We're more of a politically correct generation, so a lot of people just it's kind of like a deep, deep, deep down, deep, deep thing. Kanye West said it best. He was like, "Racism's still alive. They're just reconciling it. They've reconciled racism in different packages, and they have put it in a place where it's kind of hard to get to and it's hard to see. It's more of the uh, northern version of racism, which is very subtle. It's very quiet."
So in high school, did you just have like the basics? February you just learned about just Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, or was it just more than that? Did you learn more than that, or was it just the basic in that 1 month?
I learned the bare minimum of African American history, particularly in February. In high school, it really wasn't much. It was the same story over and over and over and over. So, from Rosa Parks, the little bit about slavery, because we don't want people to get all in their feelings about slavery.
Right.
Jesse Owens, Martin Luther King was like all you ever learned about in February, period. And then growing up in the Midwest, I learned a lot more about Motown in Detroit, and pretty much the backbone of what Motown was, and the civil rights movement, and Thurgood Marshall, like the very basics of Black history I learned in high school.
So when did you learn more about it? When you got to college at a HBCU, or did you take the class, or how did that go?
I was actually privy to some select, uh, I guess you could say, programs in high school where I got to learn a little bit more about Black history, especially at Michigan State University, where they kind of provided us Saturday programs throughout the year where you come for like one Saturday a week, one Saturday a month, and you kind of get to explore all types of African American history and just the college entrance process. They want to get you exposed early, but it was beyond that. It was definitely really college where I started to take African American history, and then from there it kind of just one thing led to another after another, and I got involved with certain programs, and they kind of taught me from the very beginning who I was, what I was, and that my history was more than just slavery. It was much more beyond that.
So would you say that police brutality is mainly due to the racism of black people, not just because the police was scared or felt that they was armed. You just feel like they felt they could do it just because of the police and they're black.
Yeah, I mean, America has had such a long history of police brutality. Uh, with us, I mean, ever since, you can even say ever since slavery, even before that, with the slave masters and the overseers of the plantations, had a very police-like state. They policed the state of plantations. They policed the slaves, and it continued on even to modern times. And obviously, Jim Crow and the Civil Rights era, it was always abusing of a lot of African Americans through every situation we've ever been through. So I definitely think they have uh, abused their power, over time. This isn't just a single circumstance where all these, Negroes are just getting beaten, overnight. No, this was something that has traditionally happened. I mean, Rodney King, where it was about 4 or 5 officers beating, one black man, I believe, on the side of the highway, and all of them have been acquitted. And the thing that keeps happening with it, if people keep getting acquitted or they're never charged, nothing happens. And if you were in that type of position and you were a police officer and you beat somebody down because of their skin color, I mean, wouldn't you do it again if you got away with it for free?
True. Would you say if Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was here, do you think that Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown would still be alive today? Do you think everything would still be avoided? Do you think we'd still be going through racism?
Um, I think we would still be going through racism, but I'm not sure to the extent of what we would be going through. Uh, because the more that you fight the oppressor, the more that you fight racism and you challenge the power structure that racism is, the more that people will tend to fight back to you. So we don't know what would happen through the 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s and 2000s had they still been here. But I'm very sure it would have been a very tough period of time because people do not like being challenged on their authority. And it would have been a whole culture shift, and it would pretty much shape this country to its foundation because of the fact everything would change and you would have that power structure changing. And I do believe they would have an incredible impact if they were still around. But to the extent of what it is now, I wouldn't know. But racism definitely would still be here in some sense.
Right, right. So would you say that going to an HBCU shows you that it gives you a for African American people, it gives them an opportunity to show them the way how to be successful under a black man's mentality instead of a white man's mentality of always being under a white man's authority and to be on your own and growing up as a strong, independent African American.
It does provide that under a veil of blackness, but I think one thing that needs to be understood about HBCUs is that once we leave this bubble of safety, is that it's an international, multicultural, global internet age. So you're going to be dealing with people from all around the world, not to get comfortable within strictly being black, but be comfortable with self and develop that preservation and that comfort in self to be able to go out and interact with somebody who is white or somebody who is Asian or Indian, or it doesn't really matter the race, but being comfortable with self first and learning things here, then proceeding out and being able to interact. Don't be comfortable or complacent just strictly within blackness. Go out and change and exchange ideas and meet other people from other races. But I definitely think you can learn from it though.
So you would say that you would say going to a HBCU has made a better opportunity than going to a regular school, college.
Depends upon the situation and the person. For me personally, it gave me everything. It gave me a second opportunity when many other universities wouldn't look at me, and provided me a foundation to go to other universities and be able to speak. Provided me an opportunity to go, across the country and present before people. It provided me an opportunity to find out exactly who I am and not just, an athlete, not just somebody who, likes to do this or that. It helped kind of fulfill me or round me out to be a well-rounded student and a well-rounded man, and it gave me a lot of motivation and drive to succeed, to go beyond what the actual norm is for a lot of people our age. I don't knock PWIs or people who attend them, but I believe for me, the HBCU for undergrad was the best choice because it gave me an opportunity to achieve.
So, for a student that's looking at Texas Southern, what would you tell them to make them come to this HBCU right now today?
I would tell them that they need to make a decision based upon personal comfort, but to look at the programs. Texas Southern has a lot of unique programs that would really hit home for a lot of people, whether it is engineering or whether it is the public affairs program. Or even to an extent the communications program or biology, there's a lot of opportunities, or excuse me, even the School of Pharmacy. Texas Southern has a lot of programs that could, meet your needs or meet what you're looking for, but you have to study and focus upon what you want to find first of all before you make a commitment to any school and see where it lines up with you. Texas Southern, again, a lot of great programs, a lot of people who are invested within the student, and a lot of people who are truly here to not only get their second chance but go above and beyond for what they're seeking and searching for. It's an opportunity to really expand themselves into something better.
Kendall, thank you so much for letting me interview today. It was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.